radio show in Portland. On Saturdays, about sports. The Sinner and the Saint will be that show. Better than they were before. Sportsier, funnier, more labradoodles. The Sinner and the Saint Tailgate Show on 1080 The Fan, the
Odyssey
map, and 1080thefan.com.
Hey! Happy Saturday morning, all you beautiful radio listeners. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your weekend. Let's check in with the most important man, Will Darkins. What's going on, man?
Long time no see.
Yeah, it's our first show of August.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well.
We took August off.
Well, yeah.
We're that big of swinging D's around here.
That's
They're
right.
like, just take August off. You're fine.
Programming note, I will be out next week.
Are you really?
Yeah, running head to coast next weekend.
Why are you doing that?
What do you mean?
It is the start of college football next weekend.
It is.
Why are you leaving?
Well,
what am I going to do? How am I going to get the hard-hitting analysis that these people deserve?
just do your own play-by-play of Florida State, Georgia Tech from Ireland. That's all you got to do. Just put the game on and just say what you think's happening.
Do you think anybody from Ireland really cares?
I don't know. They do this game, it feels like every year now, because Notre Dame was going over there, and now it's non-fighting Irish schools. So, yeah, I think they care a little bit.
I mean, more than just like, hey, this is something to do.
I don't know how many expats are over there, but I don't know. I think there's probably some appeal to it. The other thing is, I think when you're talking about college football, I think it's an opportunity for the schools and the alumni and the fans to go over there. And I think it's probably good for tourism. So Ireland loves that. And the Irish folks that love the football, they go out and check it out. But changing around different schools, like I know that we talked about this very, very briefly. You no longer care that Oregon State has a football team because they have been ostracized and eliminated and will not be competitive. But if your team went to Ireland, would you want to go?
I would want to, but I wouldn't.
But if you had the means, why wouldn't you?
Um,
Other than the financial reasons of the planning. Like, let's say you knew in 3 years the Beavs were going to play in Ireland.
No. And here's why. Because I don't really care to go watch a football game in Ireland.
Yeah.
I'd rather just kind of go to Ireland and experience it.
Sure.
Like, I'd rather that be the case for like a bowl game at a destination. Like,
Okay.
That's why bowl games work really well, is because of the fact that
Bowl games don't work really well.
oh, for fans they do. Now, if you get good location, hell yeah,
The
dude.
Bahamas
the Vegas Bowl. Do you know how many friggin'
the
people were at the Vegas Bowl?
Yes, the Bahamas Bowl.
Oh,
You ever see
I'll
anybody,
go to the Bahamas Bowl.
you ever see anybody in the stands there?
Well, no, because the teams are terrible.
Yeah, so they don't work really well. In theory,
They
it
got to
makes
put
sense.
better teams in the Bahamas Bowl.
Yeah. So if your team went to the Bahamas. So here's the other thing is like going to Ireland. So I want to just make sure that I kind of understand this. Going to Ireland, going wherever, and going and seeing the historical sites and getting the culture. Are you suggesting that if it was just you in Ireland and like 20,000 of your alumni and fellow college football fans that are very much like you hanging around, you think that might dilute the experience of going to Ireland? Or would it be like, dude, I went to Ireland, it was great. There's so many Beavers fans there, and it was fantastic. I sat in the bar. I talked to a guy from Medford for like, I don't know, 2 hours. He was awesome.
Yeah, no, I would like Ireland to be its own thing,
Yeah.
not going and.
But don't you feel like that would
watching-
happen too? Like not just for the game, like but the week before and the week after, it would just be still full of a bunch of American college football fans.
I think for the most part, whenever they do this, it's really not for the fans. I think bowl games are for the fans. I will
Okay,
say
all
that. It's not really. It's expanding brands.
Yeah.
There's no other point that the NFL is playing in London. I don't think. I think it's basically like, hey, we're trying to expand this brand and trying to workshop the idea of putting the Jaguars over there. So it's like, you know, there's nothing really in it for the fan. There's always some kind of thing behind it to push marketing.
It can be,
so
can be
like
two
with
things.
this,
It can be two things. Listen, if the London games didn't sell out and didn't have good optics, if they looked like the Bahamas Bowl, they wouldn't do them. There's no way.
You're correct.
But they've
got to make money.
They've continued doing them because they do make money, and they're expanding them across Europe. And it can, two things can be true at the same time, where you can have these pockets of NFL fans that, whether it's expats or there's military bases over there, and for them to get a taste of America. And from what I understand, Germans love American football. I don't know about the Brits, but obviously there's enough people that are excited about those games, plus the fans going over. I think it all works, plus the added benefit of marketing. So I think it can be multiple things at the same time.
Okay. You know me.
But I don't think Georgia Tech is trying to get their foothold into recruiting Irish players.
No,
or anything
that's not
like
what
that.
I mean by branding. I mean branding the actual sport of college football, because itself now is just it is now unabashedly a business. It is not.
There is no question.
It is
about
not. It has taken guardrails off of the idea of molding and shaping young men.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that. It makes money, and that's what it is about solely.
But I think it evolved into that because I know that you have a different perspective, and you played, and you went to school. I've always thought of it that way. I mean, not as an outsider. I don't have a team. Because you and I are kind of the opposite. You don't have an NFL team, and you very much see the business side of absolutely everything that they do. And I am a fan of the Seahawks, and I root for my team, but I remember, rooting for, we'd all pick a team when the playoffs started, because when I was a kid, the Seahawks were terrible. And you can kind of get behind that rallying point. Never had that with college football. So I've always looked at it as like, wow, what a corrupt organization. How are they not paying players and doing that? Because you knew that they were. You knew that there was a big bag of casino chips or vouchers or whatever it was passed over to Cam Newton. How did he end up at Auburn? Well,
So, I'll offer this, and then we can move on to stuff where it doesn't turn into this conversation. So why do you think the players are playing then?
Why do I think that college football players are playing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's probably 100 different reasons. My dad played for the school. I want to make it to the NFL. I love football. It's my opportunity to get an education. Sits somewhere on the list. But my curiosity would be, what percentage of all of the reasons? Because you tell me. I mean, guy, you know better than I do. Why did you play?
Why did I play? To get an education paid for?
Yeah.
And
was that the only
fun.
reason? Okay, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the reason I asked that question, is because I think that if we keep making this stupid argument, because it is stupid, why aren't these players getting paid?
Well, they are.
Quit
now.
playing. No, they're not. They're not really getting paid. They're getting what? Car dealership deals? You think Johnny Walk-On's getting any money?
They are.
No.
They're working on a process where the universities will end up paying the players.
Yeah, no, and that definitely won't.
Well, but okay, but
And that definitely won't please everybody, right?
being paid cash money and being compensated, if what, I don't know what it costs for the degree that you got, but it wasn't free. You were compensated to go and play football for the university,
You're
right?
very right, Luke.
Yeah.
And you know something else? Perhaps that's what you're getting when you play college football.
Well, okay, but
and perhaps the idea of players getting paid from the outside by fans, perhaps you should shut up because you don't play and you don't know.
Well,
that's what I have said this whole time
Okay.
for people who basically go, these poor kids, they're not even getting paid. Dude, they're getting their educations paid for. If you don't want to take advantage of it, fine by me. Don't do it. It's fine. I didn't really take much of an advantage of it. That's what it is.
yeah.
That's the offer. It's, would you like free education and to be out of debt and to play on national television, if you're on certain teams, on Saturdays, and get a foothold into certain business areas because you can literally just put that on your resume and then people will go, yeah, hire him. That's fine. Would you like that?
Yeah.
Great. How about we just make that a thing? So then the consumers don't have to suffer the crap part of these players getting paid. And then these leagues going, well, if these players are getting paid, we better friggin' sign up and all join together and make it so that we don't get bankrupt in this whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason they did the whole interleague mergers, the Big Ten swallowing Oregon and all that.
But
The reason they did all that is because they're looking down the line and they go, if these kids keep getting paid, that cuts into our revenue. We got to gather together.
Then why did the Pac-10 add Utah and Colorado?
That was at a nascent time again where they go, we can make some more money.
Yeah.
Let's offer them in.
Yes.
It wasn't at a time where players were, again, getting openly paid, and it was just a normal thing.
Okay, but why did the Pac-8 add Arizona and Arizona State?
Again, these are all natural progressions where you go,
Okay.
we're adding
So
teams
how
in.
is it not
So then
natural
within
now?
1 year, you're saying,
Yeah.
so that is what? Let's see. The Pac-8 was, how long did it take for the Pac-8 to go to the Pac-10?
I don't know. I could find the timeline here for you. But what I guess my point is there's always been realignment. There's always been these conferences looking to make more money. It's not the realignment is not new because of NIL, is my point. I understand that like it's blatantly about money now, but when was it not about money?
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
1915, that was the Pac-8. Guess when the Pac-12?
1915 was not the Pac-8. There is a 0% chance.
December 2nd, 1915, representatives of Oregon State. I'm not going to read all these names,
What?
but basically,
Okay, but
they met at an Imperial Hotel in Portland to form the Pac-8.
Okay, give me the schools.
Oregon State, Oregon, Washington, Cal, and those are the ones that met. Now I got to get the list of the other ones.
I know that it's Idaho and Montana, I believe, are in there when they started in 1915.
When did the Pac-10 start?
So the Pac-10, when did it become the Pac-10? Started in 1980, right around there. And then the Pac-12 came around in 2011.
65 years it took for a conference to have two teams.
The Pacific Coast Conference.
It took how many years? 20 what years for the Pac-12 to form? How long did it take from the Pac-12 to college football Armageddon?
It did
about 8 years.
Your original Pac Pacific Coast Conference: Cal, Washington, Oregon, Oregon State, Washington State, Stanford, USC, Idaho, Montana, UCLA. Then when did they even add USC? Because I'm not seeing. Oh, they were already there. Okay, so then they added. They lost schools, and Oregon and Oregon State went independent in 1960. So did Washington State. So did Idaho. Montana left in the 1950s. What I'm saying, though, is if you look at it, if you go to the Wikipedia page and go membership timeline, there are a slew of schools on there that left in the 50s. Then they came back and reformed the Pac-8 without Idaho and Montana. And then they added the Arizona schools in the 80s. They had that for a very long time. Then they added the Pac-12. And you can say, I think safely, that the Pac-12 was the end of the Pac conference. If anything, they never had good leadership. Larry Scott had no idea what he was doing. They lost a ton of money on the Pac-12 network. The member schools never won a championship in basketball or football, and they were kind of the afterthought of college football and college basketball, the two revenue-generating sports. And if you want to say why the Pac-12 disintegrated, it's because of the way they ran. The way their internal organization was built was not sustainable. They had the worst TV deal. They had some of the best cities for what could be a potential deal. You have the Bay Area, you have Los Angeles, you have Seattle. I mean, you have the entire West Coast, and you couldn't figure out how to make money off of that. So I blame the Pac-12 for it falling apart more than I blame NIL. So.
Fair enough.
All right.
Sure.
All right.
That's
so you're not going to Ireland?
If I went away?
So you're not going to Ireland?
To Ireland? No. And the other thing, too, is if I went to Ireland, I would want it to be, like, I wouldn't just go to Ireland.
Yeah.
Like, it would be like a Europe sweep I'd want to do.
Not just a British Isles sweep? Ireland, Scotland?
No.
Yeah.
I'd want to do, because actually our honeymoon was supposed to be, and got cut because of COVID, was supposed to be Germany, and then Wales, and then UK, and then ending in Ireland.
That sounds pretty fantastic.
Yeah. So that's what we wanted to do, but
COVID.
you know.
Yeah. It took out my Japan, Thailand trip, so Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, well, hey, listen. We can all be upset at COVID for ruining our trips, but I think other people had worse outcomes from COVID. So
Going to Thailand, huh?
that was the original plan. Was Japan for 8 days, Thailand for 6, something like that.
You and what's his face? The Diamond guy.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Tom Shane.
Do they advertise on here still?
I've not heard them in a while, but yes, we'll assume that they do.
Oh, okay. So I can't get into that.
if you would like to.
Nah, I probably
Hey
can't.
Tom, why do you go to Bangkok 3 times a year? What do you mean? For the rubies. Is that what you don't want to do?
Literally the worst way you could start an ad. Like, who listened to that at their company and was like, "Oh, this is good. I like this. I want to buy diamonds."
So we've mentioned the game in Ireland, Georgia Tech, Florida State. We are 7 days and 13 minutes from that game. We are 19 days, 8 hours, 2 minutes, and 7 seconds away from the kickoff of the NFL season. Normally you're more excited about college football season. This year, what are you more excited about, Will?
What, college football or NFL?
Yeah.
Oh, NFL.
NFL.
100%.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about it next.
Let's do it.
We're gonna Sinner and Saint, 1080 The Fan.
Dusty here for Victorico's Mexican Food to tell you about one of their new menu items, Quesabirria. Tacos filled with birria-style beef and cheese with a side of birria sauce for dipping. Pick up your favorites in-store or online at victoricos.com.
Hey, checking in?
This is not just your flu shot appointment at Walgreens.
Yes.
This is getting your entire family vaccinated in one trip.
Hey, Mom?
And a snack on the way out. Get flu shots for everyone in your family, together. Schedule appointments online today. This is wellness made easy. Walgreens.
Vaccine subject to availability and for ages 3+. State and health-related restrictions may apply.
The Sinner and the Saint Tailgate with Luke Anderson and Will Darkins on 1080 The Fan.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're 19 days, 8 hours, 37 seconds away from the kickoff to NFL football. That game will be the Baltimore Ravens visiting the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football on September 5th. That is one hell of a way to kick it off. You've got the Chiefs going for a three-peat. You've got new quarterbacks in new places. There's a battle in Steelerland between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I don't know if you would want that for your team. Caleb Williams, Anthony Richardson coming back, rookies all over the place, except for J.J. McCarthy, which you predicted, and I know you'll brag about. Rodgers is back from a torn Achilles. Kirk Cousins is back from a torn Achilles. What is the most exciting storyline for you going into this NFL season, Will?
I think in terms of just overarching stories, I mean, the Steelers are very, very, very intriguing,
aren't they? Did you hear Mike Tomlin this week talking about Russell Wilson?
What was he saying? He's a good guy.
Well, no. So he's finally getting some reps. So for anybody that's not following it closely, Russell Wilson has had a calf injury that's kept him out. That's why you haven't seen him in any practices. So he is right now penciled in the starting position. But you should see him get some reps tomorrow, or I guess tomorrow. When they go out in the preseason.
I thought they played today.
No, they play. I just checked.
Cool.
Oh, no. Maybe you're right. Maybe they do play today. I'm looking at the week 1 schedule, so they play on Sunday. But yeah, they but you're going to see some reps with Russell Wilson, which is very, very exciting. Just from like a voyeuristic standpoint. Like I'm not like, oh, I hope Russ is really good. I hope Justin Fields. I don't know what I want from that situation. I'm not a Steelers fan. I'm 2 teams now removed from Russell Wilson being the quarterback in Seattle. And like the storyline for him has been absurd. And can Justin Fields do anything? Can the Steelers continue to make the playoffs? The whole thing. So
I believe that the most exciting part about it is the timeline, waiting for when Justin Fields will take his place, because it will happen. I don't believe Russell Wilson is very much an effective quarterback anymore.
Well, but
Perhaps he will be under
Yeah.
this offense. I'm not sure, but he was kind of given the golden ticket of sorts when Sean Payton was the coach over for the Denver Broncos. He was, and honestly, I think from what you've seen from Bo Nix early preseason and what you actually did see from some games when Payton basically just was like, look, this guy can't really play all that well anymore.
Yeah.
I got to limit the playbook to this. They were winning games.
Yeah.
They were winning a lot of games in a row. And so him on the Steelers, I don't see it going past 5 or 6 games before they start saying, okay, let's get Justin Fields ready and let's see what he can do. Now, Justin Fields started making strides and started getting a lot better later in the season for the Bears. It was kind of all for naught because the Bears sucked. But the fact is that you're going to go to a team now that has a good defense, that has very young, good players on offense that are going to have a chance to basically do something in that division. Now, they have, for better or worse, not missed the playoffs for many, many years now.
Yeah.
Or they've had a winning record, I should say. And so you're going to have a chance, and he's better than Kenny Pickett. I do know that because Kenny Pickett was very, very bad. Just if you look at those two lined up, there's just more talent for Fields. So that's an interesting part. I think another interesting team to look at is the Dallas Cowboys and really what is a make or break season coming up here because of what happened in the wild card round. It was despicable.
It was an ass kicking, is what
Yeah.
it was.
It was bad.
Yeah,
It was one of the most
Jordan
embarrassing things.
Jordan Love showed up and just went, "Hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and do what all the other Packers quarterbacks have done to you recently,
Yeah.
and just do my best Aaron Rodgers impression and just dominate the Cowboys in the playoffs."
Yeah, and it's made all the worse because of the fact that if you look at the score and if you,
Dude, that game was over in the first half.
right, but if you look at the score now and we go back we go forward a couple of years, people look back on that and just be like, wow, high scoring game.
Yeah.
Because really, the end
No.
score, they only lost, I think, by 9 or something.
Yeah,
but
that might be right.
we all know what happened, which was the fact that they blew them out within this, a quarter and a half.
Yeah. Oof.
And so basically, they're going to live in some weird reality if this happens to them again. The Cowboys will win a lot of games. They'll most likely win their division, I would think. Though the Eagles will put up quite a fight. I think that they'll be a lot more improved this season. It was kind of a weird bag of what happened last year. They're, I don't know how many games they lost in a row before going to the playoffs.
Yeah, it was wild.
But
Well, they were
yeah.
the last undefeated team, weren't they?
they were the last undefeated team, and then they lost something like 7 of their last 8. And
They're like 10 and 0, and they
Yeah.
had finished 11 and 6.
very odd.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean those are the two teams that I'm focused on the most, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, it's funny because those are the two biggest brands in NFL, I would say. I don't think the Patriots, even with their success,
Not even the Chiefs?
ever supply. No, well, I mean, no, the Chiefs are on a run right now, but I think if you look at it, you'll find more Cowboys and Steelers fans in random cities around the country than any other fans. So I think it is really, really intriguing. The third option for the Steelers, though, that you didn't really lay out there is what if neither of these guys are the guy? But I mean, it's very possible that Russell
Probably Mike
Wilson and
Tomlin's
Justin
job, I would
Fields.
say. Yeah.
You think his job would be on the line?
Well, let's put it this way. If they had a losing season and none of these guys worked out, I think, and I know that family is not,
Too many coaches the
they
Steelers
don't
have
do
had.
this,
Yeah.
but like, I think that would be your ultimate sign of like, what, this isn't going to get better.
What I'd be curious what the highest draft pick the Steelers have ever had is.
Ben Roethlisberger, I bet.
Yeah, but where was he picked?
I don't know. I think he was 3rd or something. Let me see.
Well, yeah, I just
Come on, Google. You know what I want.
I didn't think he was drafted that high.
Blah blah blah. 2004, selected by first round. But where?
But where?
Let's see. Where's that draft? Come on now. Give me the draft. Why don't I just ask it? Which pick was Ben Roethlisberger? Oh, he was 11th.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? So if they had a bad year, I think Mike Tomlin survives. But could you imagine them with like a top pick. I don't know who the automatics are coming out of college football this year, as far as the who's the top draft pick. But I mean, the Steelers have never really drafted all that high. And, going after a quarterback, I think Mike Tomlin gets the benefit of the doubt, just going, hey, we tried to put a stopgap, because why weren't they in, a draft that had, did they have 6 quarterbacks drafted in the first round last year? Why weren't they in it is because they don't have high draft picks, because they make the playoffs every year. And
so here's another reason why I would kind of put up the whole, maybe you start considering his job, is that, your division's not getting easier. And it just won't.
I don't.
You
I
have
don't
the hardest
disagree with
division
that.
in football, and
Ooh.
if you have a losing season,
Toughest division in football.
yeah, that's obviously. I think I don't know
Well,
which one would
Well,
be
I mean,
worse.
the NFC South. I mean, I would.
But think about that.
Yeah.
The division's getting harder. It'll only get
Yeah.
better, and this is the hypothetical, right? That neither of those two quarterbacks work.
Yeah.
That's probably, like, from an owner standpoint, maybe we need to go in a new direction.
Well, I
here.
understand that, but
Yeah.
but if you have 2 quarterbacks that didn't work in their previous spot, I think that gets you a get out of jail free card. I
Wow.
would be very surprised.
Luckiest man on earth, Mike Tomlin.
Dude, you get hired as a Steelers coach, you retire when you want to retire. I mean, look at Bill Cowher. How many times has Bill Cowher been delivered the "we want you back" speech, and how many times has he said no? I mean, that guy, had the path set for him, for the future. He's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to go into the booth. I'm going to have a good time. Never going to get another NFL job that gives you the kind of freedom that he had in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's the one thing that's really nice. So I think Tomlin retires when he wants to retire. That's what I would say.
Just because he won in 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah, but a lot of winning seasons. I mean,
Let's see.
the Steelers, I'd be interested if we looked at like all-time records for the NFL.
They've had kind of, it's been underwhelming, dude.
Well,
You had the 2020 season, but it's almost kind of like, because of COVID.
Yeah, but
so
you're talking about
2018, you go
Tomlin.
9-6. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is Tomlin.
yeah.
2018. Now I'll give it to you. In the 2010s, it's stellar. You had over 10 wins for like 5 years straight.
Yep.
4 years straight, rather. Then you get to 2018, and you're 9-6, 8-8. You get your 12-4 season.
Yeah.
9-7, 9-8, 10-7 last year. But quite honestly, it was kind of like everyone rolled their eyes at it. It was a bit stupid. The Steelers got into the playoffs. I
It
mean,
was.
technically they did, and they
Yep.
won games. But right when they got in, everybody goes, they're losing immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's kind of where I am. It's the same thing, right, with like Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll was winning games. He
Yeah.
was getting to the playoffs. He didn't last year, but the year before,
Yep.
he was doing it with Geno. And
Yep.
Geno's okay.
And Geno got hurt last year,
Yeah,
and you're rolling
not
out.
elite, but he's okay,
yeah.
and he was doing it. But finally, Seahawks ownership recognized it, and they go, "This is just going to keep going this way, and this is not what we want to do. We need to move on."
How old is Pete Carroll?
850.
How old is Mike Tomlin?
That's a good question. How old do you think Mike Tomlin is?
I'm going to say 55.
Ooh, I'm going to say older.
Okay.
I'm going to say late 50s.
Okay.
Oh, he's 52. Wow.
Ah, almost went 50.
He looks good.
Yeah. Well, he's got a great job. He doesn't have to worry. He doesn't have a bunch of worry lines on
That's
his
true.
face.
Yeah, he does. He
Yeah.
never has to worry about getting fired.
Yeah. Well, you brought up the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, that is a fair amount of intrigue. Have you paid any attention to what's going on in Seahawks camp? Have you heard anything from Mike McDonald? Their
I'm
new
relying
head
on
coach?
you, Hawkhead.
Hey, well, let's do it. We'll talk some Seahawks. We'll do it after this Sports Center update. Call me a hawkhead? Hawkhead?
Is that racist?
I don't know. I don't think so. All-time win record going back to 1933. The Steelers are 1271 and 671. They have they played 12,071 games. They've won 671 of them for a win percentage of .537. That is 10th all-time in the NFL, but not all teams go back to 1933.
All right. Well, the MLB race the playoffs is getting stronger.
Not if you're a Mariner. Holy hell.
Well, Orioles are now 1 game back of the Yankees.
The Seattle Mariners outscored the Mets 22-1. They lost 5 of 6 to the Detroit Tigers to bookend that series.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
It's hard to watch. 40 games left, though. Let's see what they can do.
I do mention this, though, only because the NL West, which is the more, or I would argue actually the most entertaining of divisions, just because you actually have 3 teams in it. In my division, you just have 2. It's pretty obvious the
Seattle
Yankees are
Mariners
gonna
finish
win
up
it.
in Pittsburgh and go to Los Angeles, who's finally getting hot, too. So it's like, that'll be fun.
Well, no, the Padres and Diamondbacks, each 3 games back from that lead from the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Come on, Dodgers.
Come on, Mariners. Beat the Dodgers. Make it a race so Will can enjoy it.
Ooh. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Will Darkins from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop is the spot for a great night out. Always something unique on the menu for steaks, entrees, apps, and cocktails, and they're always local. 10% off in the Butcher Shop when you dine in for dinner. Laurelhurst Market, more than just your friendly neighborhood steakhouse.
Your coworkers might annoy you, but we promise we won't. Download the free Odyssey app and you can listen to us at work while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Tune in late? You can rewind your favorite live shows to catch what you missed. And with Chapters, easily jump to the topics that you care about most, like the latest updates from your team. Your sports talk, your way. The Odyssey app. Download it today.
The Sinner and the Saint Tailgate with Luke Anderson and Will Darkins on 1080 The Fan.
Breaks are getting short.
Yeah.
Short breaks. We're in final week of summer, really. I mean, it's not, but basically once college football starts, it's...
Yep. I'm looking at a list of this is on the football database.
Oh, why didn't you go to a football database?
I went to the footballdb.com. Here's what we have for your current NFL coaches and their win percentage. So the funny thing on here, if you look at the most games played, your 2 coaches are Andy Reid and Mike Tomlin, obviously. So if we sort it by win percentage, please, computer, there it goes. There it goes. Where do you think Mike Tomlin falls among current head coaches? He's played 293 games. Andy Reid has played 445 or coached 445 games. So Tomlin's second with most games coached. Where do you think he sits with win percentage on this list?
Oh, second? I don't know.
No, he is 6th. Your leader in the clubhouse for current NFL coaches is Jim Harbaugh. Has the best winning percentage.
Wow, that makes sense though.
Yeah, and he's only played 70. He's only coached 72 games, 49-22. He has a 688 win percentage. Matt LaFleur is number 2, 90 games, 59-31. Nick Sirianni, number 3. Andy Reid, number 4. He's coached 445 games. He is number 4 on the list. Sean McDermott, who has coached 125 games. That's more than I realized. He has a 624 win percentage, and right there at number 6 is Mike Tomlin, just ahead of Sean Payton and John Harbaugh, 2 guys not on the hot seat. So I think Mike Tomlin, for having coached a lot of games, sitting pretty good.
Yeah. Again, I guess for brands like that, what's your ultimate goal? Is to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Are you any closer to that? Really?
Hey, if Russ turns it back in, turns the clock back.
So go ahead and try to answer that question in a realistic
Well,
manner.
are they a better team this year? Are you more optimistic or just curious about the team this year than you were last year?
I'm more curious, but that doesn't win you a
Right.
Super Bowl. It
Right.
doesn't get you any closer to it.
Yeah.
I think actually you're probably in the same boat because Kenny Pickett was so just
Meh.
Yeah, he was a non-factor
Yeah.
on every level. In fact, I don't even really know if either of those two quarterbacks are better than Mason Rudolph, the ones they have now.
Yeah.
I really don't. And maybe that sounds ridiculous, but again, I think Russell Wilson is not good anymore, like at all. And I really can't get a good feeling on Justin Fields yet. I know
Yep.
he's really talented.
Yep.
But I don't know how that's going to translate yet.
Yeah, no, it's a big curiosity, but that's also I think why you look at Mike Tomlin and you just go, all right, well we'll give you another shot. But again, does he want to go through the rebuild? He's only 52. He's already coached almost 300 games for the Steelers, and they don't fire coaches. So we'll turn our attention to Seattle.
Yeah, Hawkhead.
Hey now. So Seattle Seahawks have a new head coach, and everything that I've heard, people absolutely love Mike Macdonald.
Oh, good.
I heard a comparison. Matt Hasselbeck was doing an interview and talking about it. So Matt Hasselbeck is coaching in Nashville with his brother and his dad, both on the coaching staff. Head coach Tim Hasselbeck, offensive coordinator Matt Hasselbeck, tight ends coach Don Hasselbeck.
That's like every American football fan's like dream.
What is that? Your kid gets to play for?
No, you get to coach a football team with your family.
Yeah. So
And all of them love football.
they all I mean, hey, you have two quarterbacks, NFL quarterbacks that are coaching your team too. I think if your son's playing for the Hasselbeck boys and father down in Nashville. So he was down because they did joint practices with the Tennessee Titans this week, and Hasselbeck was talking about his first impressions of Mike Macdonald, and he called him a less caffeinated Sean McVay. Is that a compliment?
That's interesting. A less caffeinated Sean McVay.
Yeah. So
So less annoying.
Well, yeah, I think so. I think that's exactly what it is. But just and obviously Sean McVay is an offensive guy and Mike Macdonald is a defensive guy. But what he really spoke to was the attention to detail. Because Hasselbeck came up very complimentary because he was kind of liking what he was seeing in practice. So he came up and just kind of gave him a little praise real quickly. And immediately his response was, we need to get better at this and this and this and this and this and this. And just very, very organized from a guy. Seems to have a pretty good sense of humor, but doesn't have that kind of manic energy that you're getting from Sean McVay or Pete Carroll for that matter. So you're going to kind of see certainly a different mode in what they have. But on the field, it doesn't sound like it's going to be terribly different. They have a very big secondary. Tariq Woolen has gotten rave reviews on a training camp going in after a down season. He was excellent as a rookie. Devin Witherspoon has been kind of heralded as everything that he was billed to be coming out after his rookie season. So a guy that ran the Baltimore defense that had just studs all over the place, for him to come in and kind of, I don't know, buy into a team or join a team that has already bought into, like, hey, defense matters and we've been drafting this way. So he inherited a lot of good things. Byron Murphy, their first-round draft pick, sounds like he's kind of got a little Aaron Donald build to him and is throwing people around. And the other thing that's interesting about Mike Macdonald is he seems to be in love with the sports science arm of the Seahawks organization.
He's an analytics guy.
No, not analytics. So the sports science is like your training staff. And so they made a trade for a guy named Connor Williams. You familiar with Connor Williams at all?
Heard that name.
So he was All-American at Texas, played left tackle, I think, as a freshman, but had some injury concerns. He was one of Pro Football Focus's top centers in the league last year when he tore his ACL with the Dolphins. And they brought him in with the Seahawks after coming off of an injury-riddled college career. So far, pretty injury-prone in the NFL. But they draft him, and they go, well, what's the plan? And they're like, well, we're going to give him a week to the sports science folks and just let them figure out what they're going to do to make sure that they can prevent injuries. And this is something that Pete Carroll didn't necessarily talk about. So for Mike Macdonald to come out and say that, the other thing that came from the Hasselbeck interview that I was listening to was you go from Seattle, which is 80 degrees, low humidity, to Nashville, which is 90 degrees and insane humidity. He was saying that more of the players dropping out of practice for IVs and cramping and rehydration were on the Tennessee side and not necessarily on the Seattle side. So that, to me, sounds intriguing. You get a young guy that's been compared to McVay from his organizational standpoint. You get a guy that ran the best defense in football last year in the Baltimore Ravens. And you get a guy that is kind of all in on this let's take care of players movement. Plus, they brought in some studs all over the field to improve a defensive line that was terrible last year. Their secondary looks like it's going to be kind of the leaders on their defense. And you kind of said it in the first part. All of this sounds really good, but is Geno the guy? That's kind of where I sit. That's my assessment on the Seahawks is. I like it. I love it.
Yeah.
This all sounds good. They should have a great running game with Charbonnet and K9 and everything. They've got one of the best receiver rooms. So, but it all comes back to one thing.
He's not. Which is okay for you guys though, because I think this is going to be the first year of a first-year coach in the NFL, and so this is kind of like the whole let's see what we got here season. I wouldn't have too great of aspirations heading into this year if I was a Seahawks fan. I think it's more just kind of like, what's Mike McDonald going to be like? How's this team going to be? Yeah. I think really the offense, for the most part, and Geno Smith, you kind of just pass till next year. You got to get a different quarterback, right? Like you can't do this. So he's not. We know who Geno Smith is. We know how good he is, and it's his greatest form is a wild card game.
Yeah,
that is him at his best.
Here's the other thing that is really, really intriguing. Do you know who the offensive coordinator is in Seattle now, right?
Who's that?
Ryan Grubb, offensive coordinator of your Washington Huskies last year, and he's bringing in a lot more ideas about how to stretch the passing game, how to optimize the strength of the offense, which is their wide receiver room, make it a little bit easier. Like that was one of the things about the Pete Carroll offense, and I don't know, you probably didn't pay much attention to the preseason game last week. They were able, the Seattle Seahawks, to stay on the field on third down.
That's pretty good.
And
especially since last season. And
they were able to keep the Chargers, knock the Chargers off the field on third down. So I think they were 2 for 11, or 2 for 13, the Chargers on third down, and the Seahawks were like 11 of 20. Right. That's why I'm excited about Ryan Grubb.
Getting excited about preseason football. I like it.
No, just little signs moving on from Pete Carroll that I will be happy to see, which is 3rd and 7. Maybe we don't run it off tackle.
I did hear a really good comparison the other day where people were like, did anybody remember like how Kenny Pickett just tore it up during preseason football? I was like, yeah, actually I do remember that. Preseason football is
well,
remember that one drive Aaron Rodgers had for the Jets during last year preseason football that they still play on NFL Network because they don't have any recent things of him.
They have 4 plays of him looking scared.
Yeah, well, they also have that preseason one where he's talking trash to the Giants defensive linemen. Preseason football is it's an interview for the most part. I don't think Rodgers is playing any at all.
Nope.
Which is slightly concerning. I would think
he's coming off an Achilles injury. He's 75 years old.
Right. Yeah. So maybe you should go out there and kind of warm it up a bit, right? You haven't really played in, a year.
Yeah.
Well, really more. You haven't played in like a year and a half, really.
Well, here's my suggestion.
Yeah.
Let's get excited about the NFL.
Okay. I'm ready.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
This is where I'm at. I'm kind of all in on that.
Okay.
Now, part of the reason is my baseball team is awful right now.
Oh.
Awful.
Yeah. Kind of.
Really, really, really not even that they're terrible. Like if they were the White Sox, they would be terrible. They're just awful to watch because you have no idea what you're going to get from this lineup. Yeah. It's miserable. We'll talk about that in hour 2. We'll probably dip back into the NFL. We may talk about some college football because I do have a college football question for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
We'll see if you can get your brain on.
Yeah.
We'll do all of that in hour 2. But right now we need to get to Good versus Evil. We do it next on The Sinner and the Saint. This is 1080 The Fan. For more than 50 years, PG Long has been the Pacific Northwest's premier choice for floor covering, cleaning, and restoration. By building partnerships with their customers, vendors, and suppliers, they can install quality floor coverings promptly and within your budget. And more importantly, deliver accurate information on processes, products, and pricing, guaranteeing a hassle-free experience for you. Before you take another step, call PG Long for a bid to experience the difference. PG Long, your Northwest flooring experts. Online at pglongllc.com.
Experience high-speed racing thrills when the NTT IndyCar Series returns to Portland International Raceway August 23rd to 25th. The championship chase is on as the stars and cars of the Indy 500 return to PIR, hitting speeds over 180 miles per hour on the straightaways and navigating the legendary Turn 1 chicane. Don't miss the BitNile.com Grand Prix of Portland. Food, fun, and 10 total races at Portland International Raceway. Kids 12 and under free. Get your tickets now at raceportland.com.
This is the story of the one. As a warehouse manager, her job is to transform chaos into clarity and to see patterns where others see problems. Luckily, she's got a partner who shares her perspective. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products, backed by real-person support and in-depth online resources, so she can tackle every task with precision and turn potential setbacks into streamlined success. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Summer. Wait, we need to finish school shopping.
We got this. The kids' favorite Good and Gather snacks at Target are now at a new lower price.
And $5 lunch boxes. Let's get Luna the flour bento box.
Good idea. And for our Mega Shark fan Max, I got the Shark backpack. It's only $20.
Even 25-cent select crayons and $6 teas.
And we're done.
Now, where were we?
Cheers to us. When it comes to finishing your supply list, Target has your back to school.
Have you been too busy to keep up on sports this week?
What has happened to What has happened? What has happened to the national interest?
No time to form your own opinions?
I stand before you here today in the midst of gnarly times.
Well, no worries, brah. Let the sinner and the saint shred the gnar while you just sit back and ride the wave. It's time for Good versus Evil, brought to you by the Titan of Hawaiian Restaurants, 808 on 1080 The Fan.
I want to characterize it. We haven't been able to, and that's a shame. But we're Brandon's a big part of our team, and we expect that he will be this year.
All right. You could hear that.
I could hear part of it.
That's certified DILF and 49ers GM John Lynch as the contract stalemate between the Niners and receiver Brandon Ayuk continues and the state of the regular season approaches. The team is beginning to feel the squeeze to find a compromise. The saga has lasted longer than all of the previous contract extension negotiations, save for Nick Bosa last season. He didn't sign until the week of the season opener against the Steelers. It's those same Steelers that have remained most prominent in potential trade talks with the Niners if a deal with Ayuk can't be struck. How does this end?
Oh, boy. I do not know, but I don't think it ends with Brandon Ayuk getting paid $33 million or whatever it was that CeeDee Lamb is going to get paid every year to catch footballs. I think Brandon Ayuk ends up realizing the value of staying in San Francisco because I don't think there's a bunch of people out there that see him as a top 5 wide receiver in this league. The reason that he's been so good is he's in an offense that with Kyle Shanahan can get the ball around, with a quarterback in Brock Purdy who is good at distributing it to his playmakers, and it's an offense with a bunch of playmakers that makes it pretty easy for you to get open. I think Brandon Ayuk kind of sees that the best opportunity for him to win a championship, to continue to be a supremely productive wide receiver is to stay in San Francisco. But I don't know his personality at all, so I don't know. If I was Brandon Ayuk, I think San Francisco is the place to be.
Also, this has probably been the most boring preseason holdout.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Well,
hasn't it? There really hasn't been any other real holdout. I think Hassan Reddick's
CeeDee Lamb was holding out until.
Yeah. But this is they're really trying to make something out of Brandon Ayuk, and it's kind of But he's really not the most important player on that team.
He's not, and he's not going to be as good anywhere else he goes. And
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's looking at him like this guy's worth $30 million a year. So, except for him.
And between Fox, Warner Brothers Discovery, and ESPN, we have about 75% of the sport. So I think it's going to be pretty compelling.
There's blood-sucking media CEO David Zaslav. The launch of Venue Sports is going to be delayed after a federal judge granted Fubo TV's motion for a preliminary injunction against the planned sports streaming venture by ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery. Fubo TV filed the lawsuit 2 weeks after the collective announced their plans in February to offer a sports streaming service. The streamer, Fubo that is, says it has tried for years to offer a sports-only streaming service, but has been prevented from doing so because the broadcast groups I mentioned have imposed bundling requirements on Fubo. Are you disappointed we will not get a Venue sports streaming service?
We won't get one yet. It's just a matter of time. The only the only media that you have to put up with ads on is live sports, which means if you had a streaming only, you can pay the premium, or you can, for outside of sports, you can pay the premium to eliminate ads. Fine. With sports, they're always going to be there. So I think you could figure out how to price it so people can watch it. The Blazers are kind of going through this right now with Root Sports, where you're probably going to see them take on a media deal that's a lot more like the Phoenix Suns, where it's not about them making money from the media deal. It's about getting the fans the actual games. It's a way for Venue to kind of maximize what they're doing or whatever. Those names that you listed off, Fox, Warner Brothers, all of the blah, 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 they will crush Fubo. Fubo is a new player in the game, and they will pay them a bunch of money, and they will go away, and then they will continue to do whatever they were planning to do.
I would like the Blazers to go back to KGW.
They'll probably end up, I would think, with one of the local broadcast stations.
Just please do that.
Because that's what they're doing in Phoenix. It's the same thing. They're on, I don't know if it's CBS and the CW or something like that down in Phoenix. But they are with like if you have a TV, you can watch their games. That's what the Blazers.
That's what I want.
That's what the Blazers need to do.
I gotta tell you, that was one of the biggest just grifts ever.
Yeah,
I thought was when they did. It wasn't just that they moved to Root Sports, because I was like, okay, that's fine. I have Root Sports, and then they charged extra. For it, and I was like, nope, I'm good, thanks. I don't want to watch a team lose almost every night.
What they need to do is they need to realize that they can flip the model and go, hey, this is where we can genuinely put ads, and we can make more money doing it that way, and figure out. But there's a new model for sports coming, and it's just a matter of time. But everybody's trying to make as much money as they can along the whole way, so that's why people get sued.
Do you remember Blazer Vision?
Put up injunctions. I don't remember Blazer Vision, but I'm aware of Blazer Vision. But I don't have any specific memories of it.
I remember my family got it like once.
Nice. You remember that they didn't broadcast all of the games for a long period of the NBA's history either.
Put some on tape delay.
Yep.
All right. Time for my favorite story of the week.
Ooh.
This one comes from Pennsylvania. Here's your headline. A stowaway groundhog is elevated to local icon.
Stowaway groundhog. So they got Punxsutawney Phil out there in Pennsylvania. Groundhog's very popular.
A Pennsylvania groundhog is making a name for himself for something other than predicting an early or late spring.
Oh.
An intrepid varmint dubbed Colonel Custard, so named for the frozen custard shop and mini golf outlet where he was discovered, was found stowed away with a passel of stuffed animals prizes in an arcade game 2 weeks ago.
Inside of an arcade game?
So basically Claw. He was inside Claw.
Wait, was he inside the claw machine, or did he take the stuffed animals and crawl into the back of an actual video game?
He was inside the claw machine.
Was he really?
Yeah,
That's
I'm looking at the
awesome.
photo. There he is.
Well, that's delightful.
Yeah, there he is. Cute little guy.
Did anybody try to catch him?
That's what I would try to do.
Yeah.
I think if I saw that,
Like they're like, we got to get him out of there,
Yeah.
and they just pump it in quarters, like the animal rescue folks.
Yeah.
Like the only way to get him out is with the claw machine.
We could break the glass. You can't break the glass. It'll
I
hurt
mean,
the groundhog.
We could just open like the thing where we put them in. No. This will be more fun. This will be more fun.
No, we don't have anything to do this afternoon. I don't think I'd tell anyone if I saw the groundhog in there. I'd spend probably about $5 trying to get it out myself.
Is it swatting at the claw? Is it going in there and just like, or you grab a stuffed animal and then it grabs it and takes it back?
Ooh,
that's a good
strategy.
Would be the way to discover it. Is like you go, your daughter goes, hey, can you win me that unicorn, Dad?
Yeah.
And you go in there and you get the unicorn and you grab it firm and you get it and it's a few inches above and you're like, dude, no way I don't get it. And a live groundhog jumps up and grabs the legs and pulls the unicorn back down. That would be delightful.
Yeah.
That would be the way to discover
I just want to get that thing out of there and maybe take it home and raise it myself.
Are groundhogs pets?
I think you can, right?
I don't know. That's
What,
why I'm asking
they
you.
eat bugs or something?
They eat bugs or something?
Can I make a groundhog a pet?
It's a good name, the groundhog.
All right, AI answered it.
Of course they do. How do we feel about AI? Just
answering everything?
Yeah.
Fine, whatever.
Yeah. Just reads the internet fast. That's all it does.
Groundhogs are wild animals that are generally not domesticated and
There
are
you go.
unlikely to be legal as pets without a permit. Each state can define how people interact with groundhogs in the wild. For example, in Virginia, groundhogs are considered a nuisance species because
Yeah.
they dig holes that can be dangerous. That's stupid.
What do you mean?
They dig holes that are dangerous? Just look down.
They're called groundhogs. Of course they're digging holes.
What's so dangerous about a hole?
Twisting your ankle.
Just look down.
Yeah.
How much trouble can you get in with a hole?
AI is telling me that groundhogs also known as woodchucks.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And
They're the same thing. You thought those were different?
I'd never even thought about it. I don't think I've ever encountered a groundhog or a woodchuck, and I've never given them much thought.
I've encountered
except
a mole.
for woodchucks chucking wood. Yeah, moles. Yes,
Mm.
we've got my Uncle Steve was a mole catcher. Probably still is. But if you got a mole problem, yeah, call Steve. He'll set up the traps, get him out of there. He's got your back.
He's a mole catcher?
Oh, yeah.
Did you catch other things?
He's retired. He's a hunter.
How old's Steve?
Geez. Got to be 73 or 4.
Isn't it? I just wish we lived back in a time where, like, you
Maybe
could hold
older?
a job
As a mole catcher.
with something obscure like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
See,
you can't do that anymore. Like your job, right? Like your job, you have to sell not only radio but digital advertising,
Yeah.
and like you probably have to like help with event. You have to do all this crap. Like my
All this
job,
crap.
I have to do like little bits of everything in terms of like programming. Like I have to know a little bit of everything.
Sure.
Can I just go back to a job where I'm just catching moles?
You know what?
Wasn't that the better time?
I feel like that's something that's available still in Europe. I feel like just going through there's still a lot of people just hand making stuff,
Yeah.
selling it, and
Yeah.
doing that whole thing, and you focus on just one thing. Like there's restaurants over there that just make like suckling pig.
Yeah,
Like, there's
that's great.
There's a
Do that.
restaurant, I think it was in Madrid, that's been there for like 200 years. It's the oldest restaurant in the city. All they make is one thing, just suckling pig.
Yeah.
And you just go there. I think we need to. I think you're right. We need to get back to that. Where if you went to a restaurant, like people love In-N-Out Burger. All they make is cheeseburgers and French fries.
Yeah.
You can get them a bunch of different ways, but that's all they make. We need more places like that,
Yeah.
and more people that are just do one thing.
And more jobs where
Yeah,
it's just
I'm with you.
singularly focused, where
Yeah.
I can get somebody in a large room doing a task over and over and over and over again. And whatever they're making in terms of that product, I can sell at a much higher rate. And I'm describing sweatshops, aren't I?
Yeah. That's what you're doing. Whoops. I think there are still singular jobs out there, but yeah, I think we need more. I think we mean more encouragement towards that.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Picking up what you're putting down. Well, we learned something here.
Yeah, we did. didn't we?
Groundhogs are woodchucks, and woodchucks are groundhogs.
That's what you took out of that conversation?
That's what. Yeah. Was there anything else?
I don't know.
And
the
Will
good old
loves
days.
sweatshops.
This texter says some holes are bad news.
Some holes are bad news. Is that what they said?
That's the talk I'm going to give my son before he goes
There
to
you
high
go.
school.
I think that's safe. I think it's a smart talk to have. Yeah.
Did you get the talk when you were a kid? Kind of. My dad kind of. It was short.
I mean, I don't really. I had AI do some more research on me. It turns out he's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I asked AI what dad meant, and he was dead right.
He was spot on.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's our Good versus Evil. It's brought to you by our friends at 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. If you're not eating 808 Hawaiian right now, it's probably because they're not open yet. But as soon as they open, you should grab some and then watch preseason football all day. I think that's what I'm going to do. Actually, you know what? I've decided that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, 3 locations, Woodstock, Burnside, and Beaverton. They're in Beaverton now. Did you know they're in Beaverton now?
I did, actually, because I drive by them when I go to the Beaverton Library.
Oh, yum, yum, yum.
Yeah.
And you stop by and you get some Kahlua pig and then just sit there and just scarf on it while you're reading your books at the library. And they go, hey, you can't bring in that Hawaiian food. You're like, it's 808. They sponsor part of our show. And they're like, I don't care. This is a library. And you're the loudest eater I've ever heard in my life. Do you know why that flight attendant got so mad at you? Because you're disgusting. The way you eat is gross. Now get out of my library.
It's not false.
Their website, ate-oh-ate.com. Hour 2, we'll talk some baseball. We'll get back into football. We can talk about Blazer Vision memories that Will has.
Oh, yeah. What's the text line? What is that?
The Vancouver Ford text line. Did you not know that?
Well, I didn't want to.
Well, send your things into the Vancouver Ford text line. We'll tell you more about it all in Hour 2 of The Sinner and the Saint on 1080 The Fan.
In business, success is never by chance. You know that better than anyone. So why settle for a marketing agency that gambles with your money? At Scale Marketing, we've been in your shoes. Our founders successfully owned and operated businesses long before becoming marketers. They understand the business of, well, business. We specialize in performance marketing for mid-sized B2C companies with teams of over 100 people, from traditional and digital marketing to media buying, data science, and creative production. Scale Marketing manages it all. Our tailored strategies drive measurable growth, turning your challenges into opportunities. Imagine your company leading the market, not just participating in it. That's what we do at Scale Marketing. Don't let your business growth plateau or underperform. Scale Marketing will pinpoint exactly what you need to focus on, ensuring your success isn't left to chance. Take your business to the next level with Scale Marketing. Visit scalemarketing.com today. That's scalemarketing.com.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
The home of Danny and Dusty, always live on the Odyssey app, is KFXX KWJJ HD2 Portland, 1080 The Fan.
The algorithm we're using is not perfect.
An Odyssey sports station. Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, going to be a busy Saturday of NFL preseason action with 13 games on the schedule. Most are going to be on the NFL Network, but the Seahawks are set to kick off this early evening right here on The Fan. Pregame is at 2, while kick is at 4. Mariners fell to the Pirates on Friday Night Baseball 5-3. Seattle now 3 games back from the AL West lead. They're 4.5 back from the wild card. They continue their 3-game series from Pittsburgh this morning. Luis Castillo versus Bailey Falter on the mound. Pregame's already started, but first pitch is at 10:05 in just a couple of minutes over on 910 ESPN Portland. And round 3 of the FedEx St. Jude Championship for Memphis is underway this morning. Taking a look at the leaderboard so far, not too much of a change other than Hideki Matsuyama taking 2-stroke lead at 12 under for the tournament. Denny McCarthy, who was ahead early this morning, now in second. big tie for third, including Billy Horschel, Justin Rose, and Scotty Scheffler. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Will Darkins from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Hot Corner, now in its new time. Tuesdays at 7 after Isaac and Sue on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. Sports.
Oh, this is so good.
The Final Frontier. These are the voices of the sinner and the saint.
Did you really think that after absolutely blowing your butt out in game one? Did they blow their butt out? Yes, they blew their collective butts out to try to get that win.
Whoa. Their weekly mission to provide hot takes, medium takes, mild takes, to boldly go where no show has gone before.
Take me to Flavor Town.
Luke Anderson.
You're welcome. You're welcome, world.
Will Darkins.
I know what you're thinking. What will the butt test tell us that the nose test didn't?
The Sinner and the Saint Tailgate Show on 1080 The Fan. The
Odyssey
map.
It's just turned into a gigantic Mexican.
And 1080thefan.com.
Hour 2. If you missed anything from hour 1, shame on you. But don't worry. We have a podcast. It's available. 1080thefan.com, odyssey.com, the Odyssey app. We've also made it available in a safer form where the podcast will not start moving until the ball is caught as opposed to the ball being kicked, which is a big change from the way it used to be and is very weird. Have you watched any preseason football?
The kickoff itself.
Yeah.
I have seen that. It's fine. Yeah. I don't think I really care as much about the kickoff as I suppose other people do.
Do people care about it? I don't know if people are upset about it. It's just weird. That's all it is for me. It just seems bizarre. But the NFL has been very honest about their goal to, make the game as safe as possible.
Yeah.
And make it as competitive as possible and as easy on television watchers as possible. And they constantly are making changes. Like I do wonder about, the old timers that look at it and just go, this isn't the game that I played. And I wonder what the NFL's response is to that. Good. We don't want it to be.
Well, yeah.
Kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, and also, as has been stated many times on this show before, the NFL is a business, and they understand that they need to keep their business viable. And unfortunately, you can't do that with more and more people retiring from the league and suffering from brain disease or beating the crap out of their partners. And so if you continue to have that happen, the drumbeat will continue to get louder for parents to keep their kids out of football in certain areas of the country. It'll never end in the South because they don't read books. But it's more to the point that, like, they saw this as a problem. They have taken small steps to mitigate this issue in a way that does not completely turn the game around. This is the largest step they have ever taken, really. I can't think of a bigger step than this. Can you? I mean, maybe defenseless man hits. Maybe that was kind of a big step. But even that, it didn't fundamentally change the game. This fundamentally changes the game, but not in such a way that as a fan, I really care too much about.
Well, I think the other option was taking the kickoff out, which I think is, this kind of eliminates that. I'm curious to see, onside kicks and, all the different elements that they keep trying to change, where that ends up going over time. But like the extra point was a big fundamental change, moving it way back. But then they have, it's like you have two different options for the way that you line up. So it's kind of interesting. But I don't know. The NFL just continues to make these things. I would say the biggest fundamental change is from the way football used to look and the way it looks now is the way the quarterbacks are handled. And a hit on the quarterback, and you'll see one every year where it is just a glance of a fingertip on top of a helmet, hit to the head. And you see all of those. Those are the ones that, and they're dramatic in the way that they impact the game. I think this is a major change and aesthetically looks very different, similar to the extra point, but it's not really going to change the game.
Well, and two, I think maybe the other large change was the quarterback mercy rule. that is unofficially
Yeah.
known as the quarterback mercy rule. Basically, you can't hit the quarterback.
Yeah.
You
Well, that's
need
what I
to
mean.
Place
It's-
him down.
Like I'm saying, all of the rules around the quarterback have just escalated to a point where it looks very, very different. The other thing, too, is when you watch old games of football, is just how much smaller the shoulder pads are.
I know.
Isn't
And
it
how
weird?
much the helmets back then really looked like they didn't fit anyone.
That's very true. They
Yeah.
just looked like rattling around cages.
Yeah, they just looked like somebody was playing a game of 52 pickup where they're just kind of throwing cards. Like almost somebody took a helmet and just kind of tried to toss it onto the head. And they got lucky and we're like, wow, I got it. It's on the head.
Well, it's interesting too because Jonathan Taylor and a couple other players wearing the what are they called, the soft caps that go over the helmet, wore those in preseason last week. So having even extra protection, you wonder if the helmets will be morphing into kind of a soft shell as opposed to the hard shell on the helmet too. So it's very interesting to see what happens. The other thing that was interesting was watching the Olympics and watching rugby, and they were no padding whatsoever. And they're just colliding with each other constantly. And they're just out there just kind of just winging it. And it's been suggested that if you take padding away from the NFL, then it would deter the giant hits and the lowering the head and doing all that.
Yeah, no.
But, well.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks in that way.
Yeah, well, that's you can't do it immediately. But if you went to, like I said, a different.
You'd have to take pads away one at a time.
Well, they kind of already have. Like I said, just looking at it, the way that they're clad.
Hey, you know this
is very
game
different.
that you have been playing for 15 years of your life, and you played it in one way.
Oh, yeah.
That over and over and over again. I'd like you to play it much differently, actually almost completely differently, at the highest level.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to make that change right away. Just for an update on Caleb Booms, he went 0 for 3 now on this first drive. So if you're buying stock in the Bears futures, this is going to have a huge impact on them.
Massive impact.
Massive.
He looks okay. He looks pretty good out there.
He looks like a football player.
He looks like a football player. There are the alarming parts of his game where you go, ooh, yeah, that's kind of what we don't want. The getting out of the pocket too quick, trying to improv on plays that it's really not necessary.
Yeah.
This was a massive problem he had at USC,
Yeah.
which is why really his senior season was a massive disappointment. It
didn't help their team didn't play any defense, but
but too, it was just a disappointment because really, as you watch the offense, and I felt this way too. Look, if that guy succeeds incredibly in the NFL, that's going to be great for everybody because he's going to be really exciting, and it's going to make that division even more fun to watch.
Oh, and the Bears being good is fun for the NFL.
Yeah,
I've
it's
always
good.
thought it is.
But I will say, watching him at USC and watching every USC quarterback, well, I shouldn't say USC, but every Lincoln Riley quarterback, there's that one thing you watch and you go, I don't know if you can do that in the NFL. And then so much so, it always proves you can't really do that in the NFL.
It's definitely a transition. There is no question about that. There's a question of chemistry that came up with the Baltimore Orioles. I'd like to get your opinion on that.
Oh.
And the Mariners are awful. So we will talk some baseball. We do that next. It is the Sinner and the Saint on 1080 The Fan.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising. After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the warehouse club.
But?
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
Better than online and at the club?
I know! Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Jansen Beach, Clackamas, Beaverton, Salem, and Eugene. Video Only.
High five. Up top. Heck
Heck yeah! Dave's company just got the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business.
Yeah, 5 years.
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
High five for gig speed.
5 years of advanced security.
Security win.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Our rate ain't changing.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
There it is.
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Woohoo!
Now he's got savings.
I'm so excited.
Yep, Dave's feeling it. But it's only for a limited time, so don't wait. Switch today and ask how to get the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Powering 5 years of savings. Powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping.
Ends 8/21/24. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Chill or grill on a new deck this season. Get a free Makita Bluetooth radio or portable pellet grill with a qualifying PAR deck package purchase. But hurry, offer ends soon. Visit par.com for details. PAR, your total home building source. Go where the builders go.
Hi, welcome to Staples.
Hi, my son's teacher emailed his back-to-school list. He needs crayons and a comp book for every subject.
Okay, no problem. With Staples Hot Deals, you'll find super low prices on hundreds of items for back to school.
Oh, now they're saying he needs folders and glue.
You got it.
And markers?
Of course.
Oh, geez.
Can we get a card, please?
Save big on back to school with Staples Hot Deals. Right now, 24-pack Crayola crayons and comp books are only 50 cents each at Staples. Ends 8/24, in-store only, limit 10.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Limited time. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them.
With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise.
No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
And the Saint Tailgate with Luke Anderson and Will Darkins on 1080 The Fan.
So there's something that I saw, this was a few weeks ago, but I took a camping trip and then you were gone for something and then you were gone for something again. We missed a couple shows. So maybe better that we kind of waited to kind of see what this is, but right around the trade deadline, just kind of paying attention to the changes around Major League Baseball. It came up on the MLB Network. I don't know if you're familiar with Dan O'Dowd, but he's a former general manager of the Colorado Rockies. He spent time with the Orioles and Cleveland Indians, because they weren't the Guardians yet. So even though people go, and he was with the Guardians. No, he wasn't. He was with the Indians. But
Idiot.
Well, I'm just saying. Just saying. So Dan O'Dowd was on MLB Network, and they were talking about your Baltimore Orioles.
Oh.
One of the most active teams of the trade deadline added 7 new players. And one of the things that he brought up was his coach or manager in Colorado talked to him about how difficult it is to make too many moves, or how easy it is to make too many moves, and how difficult it can be on the team chemistry. Now, the Orioles, since a trade deadline, are right around 500. They haven't been bad. They haven't been great. They've been just kind of floating around 500. But the suggestion was that when new players come in, they're there for a reason. And so with your existing team, you start looking around the lineup and go, oh, well, Does that mean I don't have a spot in the outfield next year? Does that mean that my spot is going away? Does that mean I need to start thinking about myself more than I am thinking about this team? So the Orioles, a very young team, a very good first half of the season, good first 120 games have been very good. Have you noticed anything that might suggest that he's correct in this over the last few weeks?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, because a lot of the issues that we were trying to address weren't because of trying to kick dudes out, though we did trade Austin Hayes. That was kind of lingering for a while. He was not hitting well at all at any point during the season. He got his position stolen by Colton Cowser, who's probably going to win AL Rookie of the Year, who's a great hitter and great fielder. But no, I don't see that at all. I think really everything was about a need. One, most of all, pitching.
Sure.
Because of the fact we were decimated by losing John Means and Kyle Bradish both to UCLs. We also don't have Felix Bautista, but we already knew that. Grayson Rodriguez has been on and off and out for a little bit. And so you kind of had to fill this need by going to get pitching, and you achieved that in two ways: by getting Sir Anthony Dominguez, who's very, very good. He was a closer for the Phillies, and he's played incredibly. But more than anything, the greatest acquisition you made was Zach Eflin from the Rays. He has been incredible. He's been undefeated in every single one of his starts, and he walked somebody for the first time in 3 starts.
Just getting strikes across the plate seems like it would be easier in
yes,
baseball.
but he interviews I've heard with him, he apparently hates walking people. Like he won't do it and tries everything to not walk someone. So anyway, you have those really good parts of it. Then you had the head scratching part where it just looked like they were desperate when they went and got Trevor Rogers, who has been nothing but horrible. We had to put him into the starting lineup because of losing. Well, we had Dean Kramer out for a little while, though he is back. We had to put Cade Povich in, who was our number 1 pitching prospect, who sucked, but I guess we're calling him up now for Saturday. But you get this guy in who just is awful. And I think really in terms of everything, like he has been the one part of the trade deadline where everybody just looks at it and they're kind of like, that was awful.
Yeah.
Because Eloy Jimenez was the guy that they got from the White Sox, and this was one of my favorite parts. He's a DH, and it was great because we traded for him, and everybody kind of scratched their head. They were like, I mean, he seems okay, but why are they getting him? And then all these White Sox fans are like, thank you for getting Eloy Jimenez off our hands. He has been awful. Like, we can finally move on. We can finally move on from all this and blah, blah, blah. So we get Eloy Jimenez. First game, he gets like 3 hits.
Nice.
He like drives in runs like nobody's business. And so that trade was great because I think everybody looked at it and was like, I bet if we took him off a horrible team, he might be in a better mood.
Well,
and he might play better.
But if everybody hates him in Chicago, you wonder what that'll do for team chemistry.
Dude, people love that guy. And he loves being around with them too. He's doing the whole bird bath thing, and he's doing the whole hydration station thing. People seem to like him.
Yeah. Well, the Baltimore Orioles have a 98.8% chance of making the postseason. So little things like that can disrupt things, but you haven't noticed any change.
No, I don't think so. They've been going through a hard streak because of the fact that Gunnar Henderson was in a slump. Adley Rutschman was also in a slump. They've been in slump since the All-Star break. So they're getting out of that. Now, the biggest development really, I think, aside from Zach Eflin, getting him at the trade deadline, was calling Jackson Holliday back up.
Yeah.
That kid's frigging amazing now.
Well, what's been really interesting, and there was a piece on Jackson Holliday that I was reading. I'm not necessarily looking for things that are specifically on the Orioles, but he was used as an example of how difficult the transition has become for hitters to move from AAA to the majors. But the other thing that I've noticed is, and it was mentioned in this article, but I was kind of noticing it too because the Mariners have done this recently, is when you get an electric arm in your farm system, the teams tend to bring up their pitching prospects from AA. they don't spend a whole lot of time in AAA. So the guys that are pitching a level below to the guys that are hitting about a level below and moving up from that level, they're not hitting against the guys they're bringing up to the major leagues. So you have all of these guys that are just throwing absolute gas. And if your starter can get through the lineup 3 times, that's a great start. But then you just have to face all of this pitching. So for a guy like Jackson Holliday to go up from AAA and see all these guys that you don't really spend any time against, it kind of does make it a little bit more difficult to make that transition. I wonder if teams are going to start making different preparations in the way that they use their minor league system. So that's kind of my curiosity, but Jackson Holliday was highlighted in that. Is he doing better in his second call-up?
Oh, my gosh. It's night and day.
Yeah.
The kid's friggin' awesome. He hit like 3 home runs in his first four games. Like he was on fire. I mean, he's still playing really well. The other one was Kobe Mayo, who's the number 3 prospect in all of MLB, who we called up for a little bit and then we just sent back down. And he had a similar first outing as Holiday, where just kind of, I think he got 1 hit and, kind of looked like he was on Mars a bit. And other than Holiday, because Holiday actually defensively, even in his first stint, was good. He's even better now, but Mayo had defensive issues at third base.
Wow.
So it was kind of like, let's give him a drink, let him see it, and then we'll stash him away till next year and, go there.
Well, we'll see.
But yeah, man, these past couple series, I've been slightly nerved. We didn't sweep the Nationals, which we should have because they suck.
Yeah.
And then we almost got swept by the Marlins a while back.
That was right after the All-Star break, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And that was a Craig Kimbrell.
Well, we just got swept by the Tigers. So no, I honestly, I don't even really want to talk about the Mariners.
Why?
Because they're terrible. They're
your schedule coming up here.
They are finishing up 2 more with Pittsburgh, and then they're going to finish their 9-game road trip in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. They've got 1 more head-to-head against the Astros this season, but that's not until near the end of September.
It's the same with us and the Yankees.
Yeah, so they just need to start winning series, and then they need to start sweeping series. But with a 3-game hole, 40 games left, it's not impossible. The problem is, the biggest problem is that they don't, for the wild card, they're not really in a position where if they finish second, they can make the wild card at the rate that both teams are winning right now. So they have to get a lot better, a lot quicker to get into the wild card race. They're 4.5, and to get into the division race, it's only 3 games.
Well, who you got ahead of you?
Who do we got ahead of us in the?
You got the Red Sox.
Yeah, Red Sox and Royals. So
you're not
and
gonna
Twins.
Catch the Royals. You're not going to catch the Twins, probably.
Well, this is my point.
No, Red Sox you can catch, though.
Well, I understand that, but
you can get there. Look at the rest of your schedule. So you got the Pirates. You could probably beat the Pirates. You could probably take one from the Pirates.
They already played Skeens last night, so they don't have to face him again.
So you can probably get one from the Pirates.
Well,
Dodgers
they need to start winning series, though. Getting one from the Pirates isn't enough.
Hold on now, because I'll give you some good news coming up here. Because you do have the Dodgers, who I think you could take 2 from, quite honestly.
All right.
You should be able to sweep San Francisco. You should be able to sweep Tampa Bay.
You know who they should.
You should be able to sweep the Angels and the A's.
You know who they should have won the series against?
Who?
The Tigers.
Yeah.
You know who they lost 5 out of 6 to in the last week and a half? The Tigers. You know who they got swept by before that? The Angels. You know who they swept? The Mets, who are a good baseball team, and they beat the Phillies in the series. But the problem is they're playing down to their competition, and they are not winning games that they should win. That's why they've been so terrible to watch. They dominated the Mets. They outscored them 22-1 in a 3-game series, and then they got swept by the friggin' Tigers. Very, very frustrating to watch.
I'm sorry.
So looking at their schedule and going, look at all these under 500 teams that they should be able to beat. That's where the real frustration is. It's not that they can't play well against good teams, because they've been doing that. The problem is they lose, and they find fun and creative ways to lose against bad teams. And most of it's with no hitting. The one run they got yesterday was a walk-in. They walked the bases loaded and then walked again. It's the only run they got. They got Julio back. He struck out 5 times in his first game. Welcome back.
Well, that's not. I mean,
5 times.
That's going to happen.
They lead the league in strikeouts. They're
You mean
just
getting struck out?
getting struck out. Their batting lineup strikes out more than anybody in Major League Baseball.
Well,
and they don't take good at bats. It's just you sit there and watch it and go, could you just please do something against the Tigers? You watch them against the Mets, you're cloud nine. You're like, this is great. Watch them against the Tigers, and you want to, throw yourself off the Space Needle. It's not great. It's not great, Bob. All right, we're going to talk a little college football. I have a question for you, and this is a global college football about the play on the field, because we are now officially less than a week away by an hour. Less than a week away from college football. So I do have a college football question for you, and it's just about the sport. It's not about the politics. It's not about the money. We get to actually talk about the football. We'll do that after this SportsCenter update.
Well, speaking of our teams, Pittsburgh is up 1-0 right now, early on, top second.
Yay.
Let's see who scored there. I got a scoring summary. Thank you. Oh, yeah, Homer.
Oh, yeah, Pirates are under 500. They will win the game.
Oh.
Giants are right at 500, so maybe they can sweep the Giants.
My team doesn't play till later today in game, I believe, 3 of their series versus the Red Sox. Though another game to look at that I am looking at is Yankees and Tigers, as we're only one back. Tigers right now up 1-0. I'm liking that.
The Tigers, speaking of AAA, the Tigers just rolling out they blew up their roster. They got a couple guys that can.
Well, they didn't move Scooble.
Yeah, I know. Scooble's very, very good. And the Mariners did get Scooble twice. But
you guys got Scooble twice?
Yeah, in like a weekend because they played Tigers, Mets,
right.
Tigers.
Yeah.
So they got them at home and on the road.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, but still, they got to beat these other guys that have like 7 ERAs and have never pitched in the major leagues and throw with both hands underhand.
More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Will Darkins from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app. The Fan's desktop player is tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Hey, it's Souk, and let me tell you, there's a huge difference between having just a backyard and a true outdoor living space. After Vulcan Design and Construction finished with the project at my house, I can tell you it's worth it to work with the experts. Whatever you're dreaming of for your home, covered patio, custom fire pit, or an outdoor kitchen, the team at Vulcan can make that dream a reality and help you take your vision to the next level. For inspiration and ideas, check out the photos of their award-winning projects or schedule a free design consultation at vulcandc.com. That's vulcandc.com.
Hey, fantasy football fans, do you want to be the owner who is doing a cram session the night before the draft? I didn't think so. You need to start your prep now. This is Faraz from Upper Hand Fantasy. Zach and I are here to get you ready for your fantasy football drafts with insights and advice. From sleepers to busts, we've got you covered and give it the upper hand on your friends. Today is the day to start getting ready for the draft. So join us and stay ahead of the competition. Follow and listen to Upper Hand Fantasy on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Sinner and the Saint Tailgate with Luke Anderson and Will Darkins on 1080 The Fan.
All texts on The Fan are via the Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them at VancouverFord.com. Will, we've got a texter in that says, Will, I've been an Orioles fan since 1980. Just be careful. We are entering the playoffs. Hasn't been the greatest this century. The Orioles and Mariners may have the same amount of playoff wins this century. So this is your first year as an Orioles fan. You seem to be taking to Major League Baseball fandom. What's your rating on how this summer has been for enjoying sports for you?
I've enjoyed it quite a lot.
Yeah?
I mean, it's been...
Give it an 8 out of 10?
Yeah.
All right, take it.
I mean, also...
I hope the Orioles don't win this year for your sake, though. You'll never have another season as good as the first one.
Well, I'm actually okay with them getting a wild card.
Oh, yeah?
Because they did win the division last season, and then a lot of people have kind of said, like, that was part of their undoing against the Rangers was the fact that they had...
Too much rest.
Well, yeah, and that was with all these other baseball teams. They said, oh, too much rest and everything. But, I mean, I kind of like our match because I think if the season ended today, we'd play the Twins.
Yeah.
And we've beat the crap out of the Twins. But that was early on in the season.
Yeah.
So, like, I wouldn't be too...
Those wild card games, man, they're fun.
I know.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
All right. We are a week away from college football. It's very, very, very exciting. Here's my question for you about college football, though.
Okay.
How many weeks does it take until you have any concept of how good anybody is in college football?
Anybody.
Yeah, because you kind of get out of the gates, and there's going to be a couple big matchups. I mean, you can look across the lineups and go, all right, well, we've got some big time matchups. I think the one that kicks it off, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Will you know if Florida State's any good after that game? No. If Georgia Tech wins, will you assume that they're any good? No.
I see.
You see what I'm saying?
What's the marker?
Yeah. At what point? Just as a college football fan, how many weeks does it take for you to have any idea if the Ducks are good? They're playing Idaho, Boise State, Oregon State.
Yeah, I think halfway through the season you kind of start understanding.
It's a midway point.
Yeah, I usually think halfway through the
probably
season
right.
you have a good idea, and then probably you have a better idea, like a more well-formed out thought, probably last 2 to 3 weeks of the season for the playoff.
Well, yeah.
At least
by
that's
the
how it's
end
been
of
so
the season,
far,
you
because this is
certainly
going to be
know.
new this year. But
Yeah.
it is 12 this year, right?
Yep, it is.
Okay. I don't know. I can't keep track of this crap. But yeah, it's also a lot of rules thrown out the window this year too, because they're playing in a new league, right? You're not playing the Pac-12. You're playing the Big Ten.
It's not.
And though there are a bunch of Duck fans who I know are getting very excited about their number 3 ranking and the idea that, now you get to play up to competition. I think you're in for a really, really, really rude awakening of how much the talent level is better in the Big Ten.
You really
than
think
it
so?
is. Yes, it is.
Okay.
It most definitely is.
But
I do
you
believe
think
that.
okay? So the 4 teams that are going to the Big Ten, USC has no lack of talent. They've got a coach that's
on offense.
But it's very true. But it's very true. But they definitely have NFL guys all over their roster.
Sure.
The Oregon Ducks have now put themselves firmly as a top 10, probably a top 5 recruiter in the country. I don't know that they're starting to build out that depth. Washington just played for a national championship, so they won a playoff game last year.
Lost a lot of dudes.
And
lost their
UCLA
head coach.
was bad in the Pac. Well, I understand it, but UCLA is bad in the Pac-12. So if they're bad in the Big Ten, who cares? So, but those are the only teams that are going in. But like the reason I ask is I'm looking at this like week 1, right? The official week 1. You're gonna have Notre Dame, Texas A&M, USC, LSU, Miami at Florida. Like looking at those games, do you go, we learned something here, or it just
No, you don't. And that's why it's interesting too with the college football season is that I really do believe it's split into 3 parts. And the first part is your like week 1 to 4. And this is probably, in my opinion, the most exciting part of the college football season because the expectations have not set in yet. Now, a texter did put something in here saying about Colorado playing TCU, right, in week 1 and how that was like the galvanizing moment of the college football season.
Yeah, and then 5 weeks later,
Exactly.
they started losing and didn't stop.
Exactly. And so, yeah, the first 1 to, I would say, 4 weeks of the college football season are really, really exciting because the expectations are still there.
Yeah.
And the reality hasn't quite set in yet about these college football teams. LSU is another really great example. They got absolutely mauled by FSU, and people were starting to call for Brian Kelly to get fired because they got embarrassed on national television. Well, turns out they had the Heisman winner, and I think they only lost 3 games that year or last year. So you have that first part. The second part is the slog, which is the part of college football where you get to around week 7 to week 9, and people.
So wait, week 1 to 4 is the first part, and then week 7 to 8 is the second part.
Well, I mean, then you kind of just have.
No, but even,
it's just the slog of the season. It's when teams start kind of losing these weird peppered games in your schedule where, you kind of start sussing out a bit. You go, okay, these two teams are probably the best in the country. They're going to be down at the dance.
Week 5, for example. So the reason this all came up is like I put in the best games of each week for the college football season. Week 5, you have Georgia at Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, is that like that's part of the slog where you just have these games that are on your schedule? It's a lot of conference games, and it's a lot of these games where that's a somebody has to win game, but it doesn't eliminate if both teams go in undefeated, which I think Alabama has at Wisconsin. I don't think Georgia has another big game before week 5. And week 5, of course, is only week 4 because they have 0 week. Well, no, I guess it is week 5 because they call the other one 0 week. So either way, that doesn't eliminate anybody from competition. And would you write off either the loser of that game in either direction?
I have no idea.
Yeah. So you still don't know. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And two, I think this is another reason why I kind of just roll my eyes at what college football has done with the schedule, too, is they're trying to make it like the NFL in a way where it's like every week, every single game matters. I really don't want it to, quite honestly. Do you know how many frigging games there are in a college football season, week to week?
Actually, in every week of the
yes,
yeah, there are
a lot, many. I don't want to pay attention to all those. I really don't.
Yeah.
And here's the best part. They're all primarily on one day.
Yes,
in the NFL, they do a good job of giving you like a Sunday night game. So you can kind of wait for that game. They have a Monday night football game. They have to a lesser extent, Thursday night football game. College football now has basically rigged their schedule to make it so that every single game, every single week from about week 3 till the end of the season matters. And let me tell you something. If you don't think burnout of college football is a real thing, get ready to experience it this year because you really will forget about some huge games that are happening and you'll kind of just go, I can't pay attention to this.
Yeah. Well,
that's what makes the NFL so great is the fact that you do have these games that do mean a lot, but for the most part, you can kind of reason what the most important games are. And you used to have that with college football, where you would have these games in your schedule where you would circle and go, all right, in these next 2 weeks, we got to beat these two teams until we get to this one. So you build this sense of anticipation. Now, it's just basically like every single week, every single game is of vital importance. It's like, I don't have the attention for it, man. Just can we get back to divisions and regular leagues, giving everybody like a fair shake?
I started counting. There's 70 games a week. That's just an
That's
estimate.
a lot.
Dude, it's insane.
Yes.
Like just going down. I just went to the ESPN, went to the schedule, went to week 4. There's at least 70 games there. I counted to 45 and I kind of lost interest, but it's like just, and that's just looking at it. And now, and exactly to your point, there is a Thursday night game that week, but it is South Alabama at App State. Why?
Whatever.
Why? But okay, this is another gripe I have with college football that we always do on this show. But why do those teams want to stay in Division 1A? Like, what's the point of either? Like, you get a couple big wins in school. App State beat Michigan once. Awesome. I don't even think they were 1A at the time when they beat them, but that's great. And then on Friday night, you get Stanford at Syracuse. You interested in that hot ACC action? No. Illinois at Nebraska. There's your Big Ten football. San Jose State at Washington. Everything else is on Saturday. There's 4 games outside of it, and college football couldn't get better matchups than that for their prime time.
And again, this is what the issue is going to be once you start condensing conferences. Is that you can't, there's just too much going on.
Yeah.
Really. Like, that's the best part of conferences and having many conferences was the fact that you could, for the first 2 weeks, kind of, or I guess 3 weeks really.
Pick the best game in each conference, or would you just watch all Pac-12 games?
Well, no, like the first 3 weeks of the college football season was when you kind of took it all in. You were like, okay, you're playing outside of your schedule for the most part. You're playing outside of your conference. You're playing outside of your schedule. So you kind of get a lay of the land. And then you hunker down into your conference and you start looking at it. And you go, okay, if we can win X amount of games, we can make the. Now, it really doesn't matter. It just doesn't. It really
I tried
matters
to
nothing.
I tried to talk to you about the football. We ended up in the same spot, but for a second there, we were talking about the actual fun of the schedule. And
Well, until they actually play games, I'll friggin' talk about
I
it.
know,
too.
but we're
Like,
one
what
week
else am I
away.
supposed to talk
No,
about?
but I did
Do you want a breakdown of Oregon's secondary, which, by the way, has not played yet this season?
Yeah, but after,
Can we get into our?
I'm sorry. After
Yeah.
Idaho and Boise State, you're gonna have a better idea. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
So what we've decided is we don't really need to talk about college football until week 5, end of September.
If you're a Duck fan,
Well, listen, we can talk about the games,
except for the rivalry. The air quotes are up, by the way.
Yeah, I see that. I saw them, but yeah, like you're not going to know anything about college football. So just here's the warning that I have for listeners: is you're going to hear a lot of people that know everything about college football right now. They're liars. You're going to hear a lot of people that tell you after week 1, they don't know anything. I think you're right. I think it's probably 5 games before you know anything about any team.
I mean, barring injury, yeah.
Well, even like
Florida
if they get an
State,
injury,
that's why
you
I
go,
throw that in there, yeah.
But if you get an injury, then you go, well, I know they're done. And then,
Yeah.
of course, they're like, dude, this redshirt freshman's amazing. And then they get better.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. So there are things about college football that are great. It starts next week, but you won't know anything till the end of September. So good luck with that. What we will do is we're going to tell you what to watch. We do that next. It is called a segment called What to Watch. It's very clever of us. This is The Sinner and the Saint on 1080 The Fan.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Hey, I'm Brett Podolsky, co-founder of The Farmer's Dog. We make fresh food for dogs. We started the company when we saw what a huge difference it made in my own dog, Jada, when she stopped eating ultra-processed kibble and started eating fresh, whole food. The Farmer's Dog food isn't fancy. It's just real food delivered to your door in pre-portioned packs. It's better for them and easier for you.
Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/radio. That's thefarmersdog.com/radio.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
The Sinner and the Saint Tailgate with Luke Anderson and Will Darkins on 1080 The Fan.
All right, I'm out next week. You will have college football Will in here, I think, watching the Florida State Georgia Tech game from Ireland. Can you do the whole show next week in an Irish brogue?
Probably. Ooh, that was bad.
That one. Oh, yeah, it wasn't.
Even
it
for
wasn't
my
your best.
accents, that was bad.
Yeah, that's probably. How did it sound?
Probably. Oh, yes.
All right, you might want to skip next week with
Yeah.
me. I
gotta get Will, the other Will, in here.
Yeah, you definitely do. All right, so we've got a bunch
I will
of
end on this text, though. I do want to read this.
Go for it.
Because I think it's good.
Okay.
I think it's important.
Do it.
Literally everyone listening right now is pumped for the start of college football. You are peeing on it.
It's for you, Will. Vancouver Ford text line has it right. Only you can make something everybody's so excited about such a bummer. It's what you do. Hey, Listen, we have to have.
Hey,
we
you
have,
know what? I'll tell you what. Let's talk in 2 years.
We'll see. Hey, wait, we'll see what happens.
Just like many things on this show that I say that people go, that's outrageous. Wait a year, it happens, and then I come back and I go, oh, see, I told you.
Yeah. So we've got NFL preseason on the thing. We've got the doldrums of summer in baseball. Would you rather do what to watch, or do you want to hear the how the cornhole tournament went?
Ooh, I would like to hear the cornhole.
We didn't get this. So a couple weeks ago, we did our big camping trip, and we've missed some shows. I know you had some things that came up, and we weren't able to be in here. So the cornhole tournament was a disaster this year.
Why?
I'm going to be very honest with you. So we made two major mistakes in the cornhole tournament, and they were a 10 and 11-year-old boy that wanted to play. So my nephews Brandon and Nolan wanted to play in the tournament, and we're like, well, we don't put you on the guys' side. Last year we let them play as a team together, but it was kind of like a. Now we're like, you know what? We'll let you guys jump on the girls' side. So the way that we do this tournament is it's a co-ed blind draw. The women draw their male partners. You get a random partner, and we play. I think we had 11 teams this year, and so we let those guys play. And here's the problem: they're awesome. They were so freaking good in this tournament that it was kind of hysterical. Like they were the only ones that practiced like around the clock. And they'd practice for weeks. Like I didn't realize this because they're my nephews and they're not at my house, but they were out in my brother's yard and just chucking bags and chucking bags and chucking.
That's awesome. You've been focusing too much on ping pong, my friend.
And they're ice cold killers. Listen, I got to focus more on ping pong. We'll talk more about that later. But we decided that they could be in it. The other thing that we did was we let other people, we let everybody opt out that didn't want to play. Like it's always been like one of those things where everybody kind of goes, and a few people were like, you know what, I'd rather watch. It's more fun. I'm not going to win, whatever. And so we had a few ladies that were like, I'll play if you need me, but if you don't need me. And so since we had Brandon and Nolan playing, the field kind of got a little bit condensed. And everybody was very good. A cousin of my dad's daughter came to the tournament this year, and she drew my name. Now, I knew everybody else in the tournament. I knew their skill level. Michelle comes up to me, and she goes, so how do you play this game?
Oh, no. No.
We made a rule that if she threw it so badly that she could catch it out of the air by herself, that she could throw again.
Oh,
That's too bad. It took 4 games before she put a bag on the board or anywhere near the board. Now,
did she play any defense?
A couple highlights. So we won the first game. We played against her husband and another gal, and we beat them pretty handily. I took the load of all the scoring, and we won pretty easily. The next game, my brother Frank. You'll know Frank is the villain from all of these cornhole stories. He came out and he starts talking trash, as you would expect. He's playing with a young lady who's a former champion, a friend of ours, Nina, who I won a championship with. And they immediately declare themselves favorites and put on matching shirts and are ready to go and win the championship.
Wow.
We beat them 21-20.
All right.
With my partner not scoring a single point and Frank proclaiming himself one of the favorites. Yeah. We were able to do it. I was absolutely exhausted. We get through most of the tournament, about 2/3 of it. We still have a winning record, but it's looking a little dicey because both of the boys, Brandon and Nolan, their teams are right in the thick of it. Nolan's team undefeated. We get down to it. We're like, all right, we have to win these games. And one of them is against my brother Paul, the defending champ, who's playing with my niece, Annika, 14, who them as a team 2 years ago, me and my partner beat in the championship. It's a big matchup. I go, we have to win this game. We absolutely have to win this game to get into it. So I tell Michelle, I go, I need you to focus. I need everything you got. You're getting a little bit better. We need to win this game. The game is 8 points to 9 points, and we play the rules where you have to get 21 exactly. And we finished throwing. I got a couple points against Paul, so I'm keeping it close, feeling pretty good about it. My 14-year-old niece throws all 4 bags into the hole.
Nice.
She throws the first in. She throws the second one on the lips. Third one puts the other bag in. And then Paul looks at her and goes, if you make this, we win the game. and she dunks it to get 12 points, and the game is over. And my tournament life, if we win the next couple games, we could maybe get in, but everybody else has to lose. Nobody else lost, so we're out. First time out of the Final Four, first time not in the finals. It was a bad tournament for me, but just to put the fun on it, Frank's wife was on a different team than him, made it to the Final Four. His daughter and his son made it to the Final Four. So Frank, his wife, his son, and his daughter on all different teams, and Frank finished in 4th place. So we love that. So the villain got what he got. Annika and Paul won the championship. My niece absolutely dominated my nephew in the finals. They took home the trophies. So it was a wonderful tournament to watch. It was my first time being a spectator in it.
It's
it was
passing
good.
of the guard, my friend.
Well, hey,
that's what it sounds like to me.
This is what I was very afraid of.
Your era is over.
Well, I warned everybody about the next generation winning, and they thought, no, it'll be fun. We'll let them practice. We'll let them play. Now my time is over. So. It was delightful. Thank you for indulging me in this story. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Will, you always do a great job. Have a good next week. Hopefully, Ortner will be here, and we'll be back for the first week of Ducks season in 2 weeks. Have a great weekend. We're done. Bye-bye.
And that's the final word. You must always face the curtain with a bow.
Experience high-speed racing thrills when the NTT IndyCar Series returns to Portland International Raceway August 23rd to 25th. The championship chase is on as the stars and cars of the Indy 500 return to PIR, hitting speeds over 180 miles per hour on the straightaways and navigating the legendary Turn 1 chicane. Don't miss the BitNile.com Grand Prix of Portland. Food, fun, and 10 total races at Portland International Raceway. Kids 12 and under free. Get your tickets now at raceportland.com.
Aloha, it's Marcus from the 808 with big news. Brah, 808, my favorite Hawaiian restaurant from when I'm missing home, is now open in Beaverton. That's right, they got you covered from the west side now. You can get the same ono grinds you get at their spots on Burnside or Woodstock, like their Kalua Pig, Kalbi Ribs, or Spam Musubi. And don't forget the Mai Tais, great for lunch, dinner, or takeout. 808 now with 3 locations and always online at ate-oh-ate.com. I'm Marcus, a hui ho. Mahalo.
Summer. Wait, we need to finish school shopping.
We got this. The kids' favorite Good and Gather snacks at Target are now at a new lower price.
And $5 lunch boxes. Let's get Luna the Flower Bento Box.
Good idea. And for our Mega Shark fan Max, I got the Shark Backpack. It's only $20.
Even 25-cent select crayons and $6 teas.
And we're done.
Now, where were we?
Cheers to us. When it comes to finishing your supply list, Target has your back to school.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get a $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd.
I don't have a problem criticizing Daniel or Justin Fields, but it's amazing who we at least are optimistic about. I mean, Justin Fields, everybody's like, that guy deserves a second chance. Maybe Daniel Jones just deserves one day of support, even on Hard Knocks. They were mocking him.
The original home of the Herd with Colin Cowherd. The original. Weekdays 9 to noon, 1080 The Fan. Dirt and Spray. Dirt and Spray. Now, weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
You can try this at home.
It seems that Ben Gulbranson just continues to be the name that gets thrown to the media. The battle at quarterback. And Beaver fan, I think, believes it should be McCoy because of where Gunnarson's come from.
He likes having a mobile quarterback.
There's, right now, I think if I was to gauge it, I would be a little more surprised if it's not Gulbranson starting because I think they want to start their year with somebody who's familiar with what the program is, has been there for a while, is familiar with style. I know the style of play is going to be a little different. I know these guys, McCoy started at Idaho. Johnson is a wild card, but it just feels like it's Gulbranson's right now for Oregon State. It was kind of my read.
The home of Dirt and Spray. Now, weekday mornings, 6 to 9 on The Fan.
I'm a fan.
The home of Primetime with Isaac and Sue, always live on the Odyssey app, is KFXX KWJJ HD2 Portland, 1080 The Fan.
You just expose yourself as a horrible person.
You do your best.
An Odyssey sports station.
Radio outlets, the Pirates and the Mariners are 1-1 in the fourth in Pittsburgh. Elsewhere, the Tigers lead the Yankees 4-0 in the third. ESPN's Teron Davenport reports the 6-game PED suspension for Titans linebacker Arden Key has been overturned. Key wins his appeal but won't play in tonight's preseason game against the Seahawks. Tomorrow night, the 49ers will host the Saints in the second preseason game for both teams. San Francisco still doesn't have a deal with wideout Brandon Ayuk. 49ers GM John Lynch says it's been frustrating not getting this thing across the finish line.
The communication still has been really good, both with Brandon and his agent, and we're trying to figure out solutions. And I'm always hopeful. I'm an optimistic person at nature, and so I'm always hopeful that we'll get there and get there soon. I can tell you we feel the urgency to have him. The season's approaching, and we have ample time, and so we're working hard, and hopefully there's a resolution.
Call in my Upon Further Review at 7 a.m. Eastern. It's on Sportsmanlike 6 a.m. right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Welcome back to the Adam Schefter podcast. The preseason is now in full swing. We are 1 week down with the preseason, heading in to the second week of the preseason, and also heading into Fanatics Fest, New York City at Javits Center this weekend. It's the first ever immersive sports festival that will bring together sports, collecting, and culture, something that's never been done before and done only as Michael Rubin, the head of Fanatics, can do. Many of the biggest names in sports, entertainment, culture, all expected to be in attendance. Tom Brady, Jay-Z, Derek Jeter, Travis Scott, Kevin Durant, David Ortiz, Anthony Edwards, Peyton and Eli Manning, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Shall we go on, Daniel Dupp? I think not. I don't think we have to do that, but you get the idea of what we're talking about this weekend with Fanatics Fest in New York. And the man that's putting it on is Michael Rubin himself, the CEO of Fanatics. And we will be joined today to speak to him about the first ever event of this kind. It's the ultimate sports festival for fans and collectors of all ages. So he will be along to talk to us about that and all the NFL quarterbacks that he has spent a lot of time with.
Be a blast. I think it's going to be a great way to kick off the football season.
So you're looking forward to being there?
Oh, I'm thrilled. I cannot wait. I'm going to bring a handful of cards just to see if I can make some trades, maybe make some moves. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'm ready for it.
As I told Michael Rubin, my kids are really excited. I'm bringing both my kids, and they're fired up about this whole thing. So I know it's going to be a very unique event, and we'll see how this all